Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. Now that we've gotten through the Sunday games, we're going to look into the Sunday night game, which is Detroit at Philadelphia. So let's dive in. Starting off with our team panel, you have Philadelphia favored on the money line with a spread of 2.5 and a total line of 46.5. You have the averages so that we can see how the rankings work. So with Detroit, we have a scoring rank of 2, a passing rank of 9, and a rushing rank of 5. So they're pretty good offensively. A tight end rank of 10, which is the biggest laggard offensively. Defensively, they have an allowed scoring rank of 13, allowed passing rank of 15, an allowed rushing rank of 8, and an allowed tight end rank of 16. So they're about average, maybe just slightly above average on defense. Philadelphia has a scoring rank of 12, a passing rank of 24, a rushing rank of 20, a tight end rank of 23. So overall, other than their scoring rank, they're kind of a below average, maybe even bottom third in the league. But their scoring rank still is pretty good, which allows them to win games. But their defense has an allowed scoring rank of 10, an allowed passing rank of 14, an allowed rushing rank of 19, and an allowed tight end rank of 3, which is significantly better than their allowed passing rank of 14. So it's interesting that they're much better against tight ends in general. And then looking into our quarterback data, you have Jared Goff and Jalen Hurts. Goff averaging almost 18 fantasy points per game, and Jalen Hurts averaging 20.6 fantasy points per game. For turnovers, you have 3 interceptions from Jared Goff, plus 2 fumbles lost due to sacks. From Hurts, you have 1 interception, 1 fumble lost due to sacks, and 1 other rushing fumble. We'll switch over to their averages, and then let's see if they impact the rushing game much, which we know with Jared Goff, he does not, with 1.2 carries and 2.5 average rushing yards per game. You get a carry share here of maybe about 4%, and rushing yards here even less with maybe 1%. Versus Jalen Hurts here, who gets 24.9% of the total rushing carry share with 7 carries on average per game, and then with 22.2% of the rushing yard share on his team with an average of 26 yards per game. And then getting into our running backs, we have Jamar Gibbs and Saquon Barkley, where Gibbs gets an average of 20.4 fantasy points per game, and Barkley averages 15.7 fantasy points per game, with no turnovers between the two. We'll look at their averages. And then, of course, with Detroit, we look at the carry share, and we know it's heavily shared between Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery, with Gibbs getting 52.7% of the team's carry share, and then getting 58.6% of the team's rushing yard share. With Detroit, it's always fun to bring up David Montgomery for a little bit just to see how he does. He gets about 11.7 average fantasy points per game, but he also has 1 fumble this season. Here's his averages, and then we look at his carry share, which we saw before, but now we see it here with him at 42.8% and 39.4%. So they split pretty evenly, and of course, Goff gets basically nothing, and there's no other people that really participate in the rushing game, so that's all you really get over here. With Barkley, you get 58.9% of the team's carry share and 55% of the team's rushing yard share. The second biggest with Philadelphia is really Jalen Hurts, so he gets about a quarter of everything, and then Barkley gets about 3/5 of everything, and then the rest is split up between some other backs. Looking at the receivers, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and A.J. Brown. For Amon-Ra, you get 20.2 average fantasy points per game, and with A.J. Brown, you get 11.2. There are no other turnovers, so we'll look at their season averages. And then all their receiving stat share, where you get Amon-Ra with 32.1% of the team's target share, and then 31.9% of the team's receiving yard share. With A.J. Brown, you get 26.1% of the target share, and 23.3% of the team's receiving yard share. Some of that for A.J. Brown may be due to some missing weeks here. For your secondary receivers, you have Jameson Williams and Devontae Smith, with Williams getting just under 11 fantasy points per game, and Devontae Smith getting 14.6 fantasy points per game. There are no turnovers between the two, so we'll look at their averages. Looking at their team share, you have Williams with 16.9% of the team's target share, and 21.8% of the team's receiving yard share, which makes him almost the second, but it looks about to be the third. But that might be because of Sam Laporta, which is no longer in the game at this point, but he's still about third right now on the team. With Devontae Smith, he gets 29.9% of the team's target share and 37.6% of the team's receiving yard share. That's most likely because A.J. Brown was hurt for a few weeks, so he filled in. So he does challenge him as the best receiver on the team right now, but we'll see if A.J. Brown can make that up. And then getting into the tight ends, you have Brock Wright and Dallas Goedert. Brock Wright because Sam Laporta is now hurt, So he's only averaged about 4.7 fantasy points per game. Dallas Goedert averaging 13.7. There's been no turnovers. And so if we look at their season averages and then their percentages, Brock Wright only gets about 4.3% of the team's target share. I think that's going to really hurt Detroit because I'm pretty sure one of the largest ones was from Sam Laporta. And then similar for the receiving yards, where he only gets about 3.3% of the total receiving yard share. And again, I think a lot going to like Sam Laporta somewhere over here. With Dallas Goedert, he gets 21.7% of the target share and about 18.9% of the team's total receiving yard share. And that puts him about third largest on the team for Philadelphia. So there's all your individual numbers. So for me here, it seems like it would favor Detroit, actually, with their better rankings over Philadelphia. That's just what the numbers kind of suggest, with a better offense over about an average defense. But really, they have a better defense against a much worse offense, maybe a bottom third, maybe a little better, but still under half of the league right now in their offense. So, but the big thing with Detroit is we'll see if Sam Laporta really hurts them. So I would tend to favor Detroit here, just in terms of how the rankings match up with defense against offense and defense against offense here. But not everything's about the numbers, so we'll just see what it really comes down to. So there's your Sunday Night Football preview. I hope that you got some information out of it, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what else might be useful for you in the future. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for Monday Night Football.